All right, so now we're going to get the actual carving going here. So the first thing we're going to do is set up the computer. You notice I have a little bit away from there, that way it doesn't get too dirty. I also have the back of it facing the machine in order to prevent more getting on there than necessary. You also want to make sure it's plugged in. That way it'll not lose power. If it loses power, it'll stop in the middle of the cycle. And that's always really annoying because then you have to start all over. What we're going to do is we're going to take this cord here from that's plugged into the back or into the front here of the machine, plug it into the computer. Then we're going to turn on the X controller. So on the back here, it's kind of buried down in there. There's a little switch, and turn that on. You'll hear the fan kick on in a second. We want to find our piece of wood. So remember, our design was about 4 inches by 4 inches. Here's a ruler. We can see that from there to there, it's about 4.5 inches. There is about 4 inches to the knot. So that's a good size right there. So we'll use that one. So next, we're going to fasten it. Then when you fasten it, you want to make sure that the fasteners don't get in the way of where the blade is going to be going, right? Because we don't want to accidentally drill out our supports and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get that attached here. So you don't want it too close to the edge of the table. You want it away. We don't want to have our stock directly on the waste board because the owner of this particular machine doesn't want the waste board to get wasted, which makes sense since they're very expensive. So you want to make sure that your stock is fully supported with just random pieces of wood. And then I'm going to have it lined up right here. That way I can have this circle. Okay, it doesn't have to be super tight, but you don't want it to be moving around. So we're going to screw this down in there. Get that one started. We're going to get the next one going here. You notice I've positioned it so that it has the little mounting circles conveniently within reach of all the different supports that I'm going to use here. The second one here, I'm not doing them super tight right now, I'm just kind of getting them started. Once I've got all 4 of them started, then I'll tighten them down pretty good. You want to try to make sure that your wood is relatively flush or lined up with one of the lines, or that you're aware of which way it's oriented, because if your wood is twisted and you're not aware of it, then your design can go off the edge there. Okay, now we have this secure, wiggle it, it's not moving, there's no fluctuation there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to raise this up so that we can put in the proper bit. Remember, our first one was with the black bit. And then on the computer here, we want to make sure machine is set up with X-Carve, and you want to make sure that it has the Z probe listed as yes. So we're going to say save that. So it has the Z probe now. So we're going to click on this little arrow thing here. We're going to raise it up, and we're going to raise it up quite a bit. Now what we see, it's been moving it up. We're going to use.
All right, so here I'm using this wrench to loosen that. You have to push a button on the side in order to make sure that it'll lock and then let you loosen it. You'll notice it has this little sleeve on it. Just pull the sleeve off, put the sleeve on the next one, stick it back in there, tighten it on finger tight to hold it in place, and use the wrench and the button to tighten it up pretty good. You don't want to tighten it too much, because then when you take it off between cycles, it won't work. It'll move it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to position it. So we're going to use these controls to move it across. Remember, we want to position it in the bottom left-hand corner. All right, that looks pretty good. We're going to add the Z probe now. So we're going to stick it underneath and clip this on, and then plug in the little wire until it snaps. And we're going to say carve, and understand, material secure, Z probe, Yeah, we have it positioned, it's connected. Now we have to make the little copper cylinder touch the drill bit. So just hold it up there for a second. All right, make sure it's in the right position. And start probe. So it's going to go down until it touches and then it'll retract. Okay, now we remove the Z probe, unplug it, unhook it, and move it out of the way. Yep, it's put away. It's secure. Wait for its position. Now it says turn on the spindle. Okay, spindle's on. And start. Okay, now it'll start following the path that we have programmed in the G code. Make sure that you keep the computer on this screen. If you move away from this screen and stop doing stuff with the computer, then it'll go to sleep mode and it'll kill the cycle.
All right, so as we can see, it's finished doing that initial roughing pass. So we turned it off. We were careful not to move this, so you don't want to push the button like really hard or anything, because then you can move it. You want to be careful that when you're just switching out the bits too. So over here, we're going to say, yeah, looks great. We're going to go to step 2. Before we get started though, we're going to switch out the bits. So we're going to raise that up several notches. Okay, so we're going to push the button, use this, and careful, try to put the force as close to the drill bit as possible. That way you don't accidentally move it. So you don't want this to move. Again, we're going to take off the sleeve, the drill bit, put in the red one. Tighten this on now that we swapped it out. Again, not too tight. Be careful not to move this. Once again, we're going to put the Z probe under there. Plug it in. And it's the same process. On here, we're going to say carve. Understand, material secure, probe, confirm position, clip is attached. Right here, we're going to make the Z probe touch, set it back down, make sure it's nice and flat and stable. Touch plate is in place, start probing. Plug it, unhook it, move it out of the way. The Z probe is put away, set X, Y, 0. Turn on the spindle. Spindle's on and carve. All right, so we got it set up for the last pass. Going to carve, understand, material secure, probe, confirm position, clip is attached, contact, make sure it's secure, plate is in place, start probing, remove the stuff. Clip is put away, set the location. All right, it's finished with the last pass. So over here, we're going to raise it up a little bit to get it out of the way there. Then we're going to, on the XY, move it out of the way. All right, so we've got it out of the way, so we have easy access. We can see we got a nice finished product there. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this off. And we'll detach it, loosen these, and there's our nice little thing there. We can see it's being held in place by some clips, by the tabs. Push it out, pop it out. So you can see the tabs got left on a little bit there. So it just needs to be like sanded or something. But in general, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty nice. It's easy to tell what it is. Nice and smooth. So there we go. That's how you do it.